Budgeting. My favorite thing to talk about, maybe not yours, but hang in there. There's some good stuff here today, and I promise it's worth it. And you might even get a cat sighting or two in the process. Today I want to talk about budgeting for chronic illness. It's expensive, it takes a lot of time, and there's just a lot involved. And I think if people just took a little bit of time to set their priorities straight and actually set a budget for their chronic illness, things would be just a little easier. Budgeting and financials when it comes to chronic illness, that it be you being on disability, you just simply needing extra care, whatever it is, if you just take the time to do a few little things every year and make sure that you have your priorities straight on what you want to accomplish and have these conversations with your doctors, I think things might just go a little bit easier for you. So first things first, set your priorities and make sure that your family, friends, and doctors are aware of them. Doesn't need to be complicated, it just needs to be clear. So take 2 or 3 things that you either want to try this year, that you either want to buy this year, that you either want to ensure gets done this year, whatever it is, that it be a surgery, that it be a medication you want to try that might not be covered by insurance, that it be a naturopathic, that it be acupuncture, chiropractor, whatever it is. Set those 2 or 3 priorities and don't give yourself too many, but pick 2 or 3. You can't do it all, and you have to learn that quickly. And doing it all isn't the greatest thing anyways, because at the end of the day, you want to know if something's working or not working. And if you're doing a bunch of different things new at the same time, you won't actually have a really good sense of what is actually helping you and what you might be wasting your money on. So pick 1 or 2, maybe 3 priorities for the year, depending what they are. Last year, our biggest priority was getting my chair. So my wheelchair, which we're going to be talking a lot about this year, but that was a big thing for me. It was time, it needed to get done, and we needed to find a way to financially be able to afford it. Thankfully, we checked our insurances, a lot of it was covered, and we got to do it that way, so things were a lot simpler from a budget perspective. But it doesn't always happen that way. So make sure that you know exactly what you want to try to accomplish. My biggest goal this year is trying to consistently get to my acupuncture clinic and get my massages done. We have insurance for most of these things, so it's less of a budgeting issue. However, it is still something that we need to budget for. Not all of it's covered, and about half of it is covered or so. And so I've had to budget every month for the next year to be able to make sure that at the end of the year, when I don't have any more medical coverage, that I'm not taking out of pocket, and we've planned for the additional expenditures that I will be incurring through my acupuncture and massage. So those are my 2 big priorities for this year, is just getting to appointments a little bit more consistently. Last year was a little crazy, and so with the move and everything, so we're really hoping that this year the focus is getting me to these appointments and making sure that they're set in our budget so that we've got it dedicated in the budget. Once you've set your 1, 2, maybe 3 priorities, depending on your funds, depending on what you think you might be capable of doing, and after discussing with your medical doctor or your family doctor, kind of making sure that those priorities make sense for your chronic illness, the next step is making sure that you have the funds to actually be able to do it. And ensuring you'll have the funds over the year will also allow you not to start something that you may not be able to finish. And that is critical. Starting something that at the end of the day, you won't have the funds to finish won't give you a really good sense of whether or not that thing long-term will help. That it be a medication, a treatment, whatever it ends up being. So make sure that you've budgeted all year and maybe going forward, depending on what the situation is, so that you don't have to stop midway through the process of getting whatever you're trying to do done. It is so important to budget these things continuously and making sure that you reevaluate your plan every 3 to 6 months, because things change and they change quickly. If something is working or not working, it's time to reevaluate those things consistently to make sure you're not wasting money on things that aren't working, and make sure you allocate funds to things that are working and helping you. And those are so critical to ensuring that your chronic illness doesn't get worse and could even get better depending on how things go. So priority set, budget, in line, things are making sense. The next thing is making sure that you alleviate the budgeting as much as possible. And that's by getting funds either through government grants, through different insurances that you might have. Make sure that you check your booklets through and through from A to Z. I know they're boring little documents that just take so much time to read, but they're critical. We actually had a friend of ours read her booklet, and she actually told us that we might have funding for something that we had planned for this year, which I won't quite say yet, but it's coming. And we were really hoping to fit it in the budget. It wasn't quite gonna fit. And then we actually found out that one of our insurances actually covers a portion of that project that we wanna get done for me. So here we are. We now have the funds to be able to do it, as long as lumber prices stay in check. And we might actually be able to get that done for me this year, which is something we thought might take 2 years to get done. So make sure you read your insurance booklets, make sure you call your insurances and double check with them. Maybe call 2 or 3 times to make sure that you have the right information, because you just never know. Make sure you check your local associations and provincial governments and things like that. You just don't know. Things change so quickly and so constantly within the government funding world that you might just want to triple check and make sure that something may have not come up. Typically, an association can help you make sure that you're aware of any funding or new funding or changes to funding that might be coming. But those are all things that I think are critical to ensuring that you use your funds as aligned as possible to what you're trying to accomplish, and make sure that you get as much things done in a year as possible to get you to the most stable place possible for chronic illness. We know that things with chronic illness are very rarely a cure, but hey, if we can get you in a place that's just a little bit less painful, and maybe you can even work a few extra hours, I've done my job on making this video. I know it's not easy, and I know it's not fun to talk numbers, but here we are. I hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions about budgeting or want to discuss this further, please leave comments down below. There'll be lots more budgeting and financial videos to come this year. I'm determined to get people with chronic illness and people that are on disability more financially set so that they can get more of their lives back in order. And so until next time, don't forget to slow your roll and breathe.